Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to take a look at some of the items from the new Chanel Les Beige Summer Light collection. All the items I ordered is in this box, so we're going to do a quick unboxing together. Any items that I don't demo today, I will have another video for. First item out of the box is one of the eyeshadow palettes. This is in the Color Story Intense. And the palettes do come in a nice velour pouch. This is the Color Story. I have not decided which one to put on today. I think this goes with, or can go with this top, but I think the other palette as well. We will definitely swatch everything though. And the second eyeshadow palette is Tender. And this is what Tender looks like. Very pretty. I think both, this is very pretty. I'm gonna have a tough decision, but I'm gonna think about it as I show you the last item I have is the Rouge Coco Flash in a new shade called Sunbeam. It's this bright pinky corally shade. It looks so beautiful on the model. Also has a kind of sparkly finish, glittery finish. I think you can see the specks in the bullet. Well, I look forward to seeing how this matches up with one of the two eyeshadow palettes today. So those are my items, and of course when you order directly from Chanel, you do get a pouch, and that's where they put your samples. I chose La Mousse, which is a cleansing cream to foam cleanser. And then the second sample is a extreme volume mascara with a 3D printed brush in the shade Black. And I don't recall trying Chanel mascaras. And I've tried a lot because you come across a lot as samples. Yeah, nothing from recent memory. I'd like to give this a try, but what I was thinking as I was choosing these samples online when I was placing the order is I will have a giveaway coming soon to celebrate 2,500 subscribers. I'm not there yet, but we are getting close. We're counting down. And so I have a few items already that I purchased to go towards the giveaway. But in addition to that, I'd love to throw in a handful, well, not a handful, probably like 2 handfuls, like a dozen different samples from different brands. And Chanel's definitely going to be one of them. Dior will be the other. But this one I will keep. The cream cleanser, cream to foam cleanser will be a giveaway. So I look forward to telling you more about that giveaway in a different video, so I hope you look forward to it. Both the eyeshadow palettes and the Coco Flash lipstick, they're all made in France with a shelf life of 18 months. Now that I've given it some thought, I'm gonna go with the Intense palette because I do think it matches this shirt or this top more than Tender, which is pinky and purpley. I think they're both beautiful. It actually looks much prettier in person than in pictures. And can you see all the little sparkles here? So pretty. Yeah, I think the top, if nothing else, I think it's gonna pull these shades more once I apply them. So let me get these on the lids, then we will go and do swatches of both palettes. I'll see if we have any comparisons like in my collection that are cross-brand. I'm going first with the shade here, and I'm putting that all over the lids. That is really good color payoff. Wow. I did not expect that. Really nice. And then I'm taking this deep green here, placing that just above the lash line. And these are pigmented shadows. You're probably gonna hear me say a lot of like, wow, this is pigmented, or wow, this is this. I actually don't have a Les Beige eyeshadow palette, so this is my first time trying the formula. I'm gonna blend out that deep green shade towards the middle of the lid, diffuse that a bit. Then I'm going into this shade here, and I'm placing that right in the outer corner area, just to deepen it. back in to blend it out some more. Now we're going to apply this shade here, kind of your shade to connect with what we've done here and to the front. This shade, I would say, while the shade in the pan looks very shimmery and glittery, it isn't really more shimmery than the other shades we've put on. Like maybe more than this deep green here. But I just kind of like how this turned out. It's deepest because I want dimension there. And then it goes over here, it doesn't actually become too light. You can use the shade, this is the highlight shade. Of course, that's your base shade. I could pop it onto or into the corners like this to brighten everything up. And I could add some of that further along the lid to really brighten things up too. I can place that onto the center of the lid as well. So you got some options there. And let me repeat this on the other side. Then I'll come back for blush, bronzer, and lipstick. And for blush, I'm going to use Les Fleurs de Printemps, and I'm gonna go right into the shade here. You guys know I use this whenever I get a chance. If it looks like this might be a good fit, I'm gonna use it. It's just so beautiful, so flattering. I also love that it's not scented. Unlike the single compact Chanel blushes, they are scented, even the new formulations, and I just like that this isn't scented at all. Going into the new Sunbeam shade from Coco Flash. The Coco Flash formula is pretty slick, and I'll take a Coco Bloom lipstick out later for comparisons so you guys can see the difference. So the pigment is lighter than Coco Bloom, but generally it's more hydrating, and while it may not necessarily wear longer, you do feel the deeper hydration from the Flash formula. Let's move on to the swatches. We'll first start with the eyeshadow palette we just used on the eyes. And again, this is in the Color Story Intense. So these are the 4 shades on my fingers, or the tips of it. Notice that these pans here, it's, you can actually get a lot of like coverage with your finger. So we'll try this and see how those swatches look. I'll go in for a second application. So here we go, and this doesn't look very good. The angle is just really awkward. But as you saw in the demo, they're very easy to apply on the eyes and to blend out. Really didn't have any issues. Didn't feel like I had to try too hard either. And they called this as a Healthy Glow Natural Eyeshadow Palette. So the full name is Les Beiges Healthy Glow Natural Eyeshadow Palette. So it's supposed to give you a very natural look, that is radiant and glowing, which would explain the very sparkly formulation. What you get is you're going to see some of that sparkles, but it's not like it doesn't overtake your look. From afar, it just looks like you have, radiance on your lids. So I think that is actually very beautiful. I don't think that these pans are particularly convenient to get into. And these are the brushes I used to go into the palette. I didn't have any issues where, the brush was so big it overflowed and touched another pan as I was just swiping a color. And I think because the pans sit recessed, this barrier here actually prevents you from like easily going over the line, I guess. So not easiest to swatch with your finger. With brushes, I really didn't have any issue. Then we have the Tender Color Story. This is so pretty, so gorgeous. Again, not the easiest to get the colors with your fingers. Oh, lovely shade. And let me add a second application to all of these. Well, my apologies, these swatches are just not that great. Again, not that easy to go in just with this, the way it's organized, but they all build on each other really nicely. Like the second application builds on the first really nicely. I think the theme here is less purple, more mauvey, and even rose gold, because look at this shade. I think this is the standout. This is like a put it all over your lids and you gotta look type of shade. So very beautiful. And this shade barely registers on my skin tone, but it's actually this here. And this would be equivalent to intense eyeshadow palettes, that brow bone, inner corner, or lid topper highlight. So you got the two side by side. They're both beautiful. I really like this look. It's warm, it can give you depth, and very easy to work with. Didn't really have to try too hard to, blend or do anything too deliberate. The formulation is on the more powdery side. It's soft. So when I went into swatch, and usually with fingers, I go in with like way more pressure to get a good swatch. So with that pressure, there is kick up. With a brush too, I did get a bit of kick up. Once you apply it on your lids, or in this case on my wrist, there is some flaking and some of the excess product falling off. But when you go in to smooth it out, it's extremely easy. There's like no fuss about it. Like you can't really make a mess on your lids because you can really manipulate these, diffuse, blend as you need. I think we have here really beautiful formulation, and it does give you a natural glowing look, which is always fantastic and much welcome for summer. This is not a color story I would associate summer with, but now that I have it on my lids, it's like, oh, I can see that. It's like a little bit golden, a little bit coppery, and you pair it with like a swamp green here, and then you've got this metallic, these two metallic shades that have like a little bit of a green undertone is actually really, really pretty. And it is a little bit different than some of the other eyeshadow palettes we've seen released earlier last month and the month before. This one here being pink. We've seen a number of pink eyeshadow palettes like from Suku, from Dior, and this one stands to be probably the lightest compared to those. So why don't we take some other eyeshadow palettes from other brands out to compare. The palette that reminds me of Tender in my collection is going to be from Viseart, the Petite Foule line that was released last fall, and this is Framboise. So you can see there's no one shade here that makes you think like, aha, that is a dupe, but you feel like these can go together. I'll swatch the two glittery shades and put them next to the Tender color story. You feel like this is part of that same vibe, same family of shades. You can mix and match these and get varying looks that are similar. Although the metallic, this shade here, which is Confiture, is much brighter and obvious. And I think this shows the difference between the shades that like really pop versus something that they're going for, that they want to be more natural. And then I thought from Viseart's Paris Love Letter that there would be a shade or two that might be similar to Tender. And now that I'm looking at it, not so much. And when I look at this, I think overall it's more peachy, like peach undertones. Although I do want to go into Charmed, because we have it out anyways. This is so pretty. Charmed might actually be similar, some similarities to this shade, but this is definitely more subdued, and there's more pink, and this is more metallic with a very obvious peachy undertone. And I also took out the new Dior Pink Glow Quint, which I reviewed very recently. I don't think they're too similar at all. Sure, these shades are peachy rather than being like pink, and especially it's not a bright pink, but this is much softer overall in comparison. And then as a good measure, I was curious from Byredo's Disco palette, this rose gold shade. I wonder how it looks compared to this from Tender. So let me swatch that at the bottom here. It definitely looks much more coppery next to, well, all of these bridal shades, if you will. Yeah, looks coppery in comparison, but look how intense Disco is. It's beautiful. I love that palette. Love it. And for the eyeshadow palette, Intense, the only thing I have in my collection that I think we might be able to do some comparisons with is Natasha Denona's Metropolis palette. Namely because of all these green, swampy shades. And I don't even think there's really a dupe, once again. Anything too similar. But maybe part of, you know, they sit next to each other, like part of the same family, same type of color story. I'm going to swatch Shield and Noble. Let's see just how similar they may be. And these are very intense pigmented metallics, unlike Chanel. So we have Shield and Noble. They look so similar in the swatch, but Noble is actually more brown and Shield is more green. And it looks so different from Intense, these two. I mean, they look like they could be, you know, instead of this kind of like a satiny matte green, this deep green, it could be replaced by one of these deep metallics and would fit into this color story, I think. Initially, I thought maybe Shield or Noble will resemble the shade here and perhaps the shade, like one of these two. But the payoff and intensity is just totally different. Really, really different. In fact, in comparison, these seem like they have more red. These shades here have like more red to them, red and brown. Interesting. And with the eyeshadow palette comparisons done, let's move on to the lipsticks. So I have, again, Sunbeam, and this is 162. This is also the Coco Flash formula. I have it on my lips, but let's do some swatches on the back of my hand. And it's so pretty. You can see the sparkles in it. The other Coco Flash lipstick I have is in the shade Immediate. So I have that right here. And I also love this shade. But you'll see much lighter pigmentation than Sunbeam. Like, this is a very soft pink. And it doesn't have that sparkle finish. And we will compare the Flash formula against Bloom. So this is Coco Bloom in the shade 124 Marvel. You'll see the pigment difference. And you can see that through the swatch, it's creamier. It's a creamier formulation, which is how you get that more pigmented payoff. And these are just more slick, more hydrating. The Bloom formula is also comfortable, but I think because of more pigment and the creaminess of it, like it just kind of, not sticky, but it kind of like stays on your lips a little bit more, tends to be a little bit more long lasting, I find. And with the Flash, it feels way more emollient, it moves around, so it's going to transfer more and possibly easier than the Bloom. If you think of the Flash like your lip balm, how long your lip balm wears, you probably won't be disappointed with these if you haven't tried them before. I would liken them to that in terms of like wear time. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I like this look. I think it is glowy and it is natural. It's softer, but you definitely see makeup. You definitely see all the colors on your eyes. And once again, I really think these look prettier, much prettier in person than in photos, because in photos you can't really see these sparkles in them. Once you dig into it, it's not as apparent. It almost seems like they oversprayed it with sparkles so that it would like pop the appearance of it. And once you dig into it, it's still there, but it isn't like, this isn't a particularly sparkly look. It's definitely still there. But this is different from like Dior's Dune summer collection where everything is very sparkly. Like all the shades are very sparkly and are even softer than the Chanel, like these two Le Beige eyeshadow palettes. Let me know below if you picked up anything from this collection or you're still on the fence and thinking about what to choose. If you are thinking about the two eyeshadow palettes, because the color story is so different, it's gonna be whichever color story you enjoy the most. I think if I had to choose one, I probably would have opted for this because it's pinky and mauvey. You guys know I like that a lot. However, because I have quite a few spring, summer, pinky, you know, purpley eyeshadow palettes, I might have ended up with this and would have been just as happy because this is very pretty. I don't have a lot of greens in my eyeshadow collection. Thank you guys for watching. I hope your week has gone well. I will talk to you very soon. Bye.